Well, hello there and good evening. Welcome into Abundant Money Mindset lesson with Jeremy Lefebvre. Hope you're doing great. Um, I'm not going to talk excitedly in this video. I'm not here to entertain you or anything like that. I'm just here for a psychology lesson. I'm here to change mindsets in this video. It's a different format. It's a different way of doing this. But this is going to be one of those videos that is going to be super helpful to a lot of people, because the fact is most people don't have an abundant mindset when it comes to money. And I had to slowly develop mine over time. This mindset of, there's abundance of money, and in business and investing, it's unlimited. And so what most people have is a scarcity money mindset. And it's not really their fault that they have this, because they haven't been taught how to have an abundant mindset. And I'm going to try to change some, mindsets in this video around this. But, if you grow up in poverty, even if you grow up in the middle class for the most part, naturally you're going to have more of a scarcity mindset, because you've never really seen abundance. You don't really know what it's like. You don't know how to get it. You don't know, your mind just can't quite go there. I'm pretty fortunate because I have been able to, over time, get an abundance mindset and get my mind to a place where it has literally no limits on it in terms of the type of wealth I can have over time and those sorts of things. And the reason being is because when I was born, I was born into poverty. We were, food stamps, government hospital. I don't know if they call it access back then or whatever it was, right? Born into poverty in a very, bad neighborhood, crime and all those sorts of things. Over time, by the time I got about 12 or so, moved to more of a middle class area, and, had a girlfriend that was upper middle class, got to see their home in high school and college, and got to see, wow, man, look at this house is really nice, and then got into the stock market and started to realize, oh my gosh, there's really so much money, and started getting into business, and then started my own business, got acquainted with a person in Las Vegas when I moved out there in Henderson, who had a lot of wealthy friends, people that were millionaires. Got to see some of those houses, go into some of those houses of some of his friends, and just open up my mind and be like, wow, this is a $1.2 million house. Somebody lives here. This is incredible. And, just start to kind of really open your mind to this abundance of money and not being limits and things like that. And so I want to kind of help you guys out a little bit and change your mindset a little bit. And, hopefully I do a decent job in this video. If you don't mind, smash a thumbs up as always. It helps us out big time in the YouTube algorithm. And, let me know if this video helps you in the comments section. I really hope it does. So, most people have a view of money. It's a false view, but it is a view nonetheless, that there is a finite amount of money out there. So they view it as there's a certain amount of money, and, if you split that money, let's say there's $10 and there's 10 people, each person should have $1. And if, one person has $10, then the other 9 people have nothing, and things like that. And some people have a view that that's the way the economy works. Maybe that was the way the economy works and money worked 1,000 years ago or something like that. It's not at all what it is today. There's literally, and I mean literally, not figuratively, I'm talking literally, factually, an unlimited amount of money in the world. Factually, okay? If you study economics, you know this. If you study business, you know this. There's debt created every single day, basically out of thin air. Okay? Mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, student loans, all of these different things, right? All the unsecured debts, the secured debts, the fundraising, the venture capital. There's literally an unlimited amount of money in this world. Literally. And every single day, while I'm recording this, there's going to be billions of dollars put out there. The government just created trillions of dollars this year out of thin air. And that was governments around the world did that, okay? There's no such thing as a finite amount of money. So get that scarcity mindset over with. If somebody wins, that does not mean somebody loses. It's not the way it works at all. If you're in a system where there's let's say there's $1 million and that's it, and everybody's got to split it, yes, if somebody makes money, somebody spends the money, they lost. But in this system, it does not work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. So that's a big thing to kind of change, and that's just something I've seen with a lot of people that just aren't educated on how the economic system works in 2020, and it's unfortunate. So, if you're still having trouble understanding that, just, focus on economics and kind of studying up there, okay? Jeff Bezos, right? This guy's worth almost $200 billion. You've probably heard of him, right? He's the Amazon CEO, one of the biggest shareholders. Think about that for a minute. $200 billion, one man. You want to hear the biggest flex of the whole thing? His ex-wife is the 20th richest person in the world. She has $50 billion, over $50 billion, that used to be counted in his net worth. Is that not the biggest flex you ever heard in your life? His ex-wife is worth, the 20th richest person in the world. Like, that's ridiculous, man. But yeah, there's one guy, $200 billion, okay? And Amazon is absolutely a large company. But I can tell you, if you compare it to the overall economy or global economies or something like that, it's minuscule. It doesn't even show up on the radar. It's just a big company in general. But imagine that one guy, okay? Apple Corporation, all right? This company's valued at $2.3 trillion. These are the sorts of numbers it's hard to even fathom. A company that was started in a garage 30-something years ago with $0 in revenue is now worth $2.3 trillion. It's hard to wrap your head around that. That in a matter of, let's say less than 40 years, a company went from literally there was no such thing of it to now it's worth 2.3 trillion. And think about this when it comes to Apple. This company doesn't even have a majority market share of any product they sell in the world. They don't even have, they don't even have 20% of the market share of phones sold in the world. They don't even have 20% of the market share of computers sold in the world. Think about that for a moment. That's pretty crazy. And that one company started in a garage 30, 40 years ago is worth 2.3 trillion today. These numbers just really open up your mind to how if when you break it down to yourself, and let's imagine you're trying to get to a place where you have $2 million or $4 million or $6 million or $10 million, something like that. When you've gone through these sorts of numbers, you realize, oh my gosh, my numbers are so small for what I'm trying to do compared to these other insane things, right? In business and investing, it's limitless. You ever seen the movie Limitless? This is real life. There's no ceiling. There's literally no ceiling for the amount of money you can make in business and investing. And you have to start viewing it that way immediately, okay? Zhong Shanshan. You ever heard of him? No, of course you haven't. I've never heard of this guy, okay? Unless maybe you look at billionaires lists all the time, which you have way too much time on your hand if you're looking at those billionaire lists all the time, okay? This guy, Zhong Shanshan, you never heard of him in your life, and he's worth $78 billion. $78 billion, one man. Never heard of him. I'm sure you heard of Jeff Bezos, but you probably never heard of that guy. I know I certainly haven't. Crazy. Think about that for a moment. Mukesh Ambani. You never heard of him in your life. Guy's worth $76 billion. I never heard of him either, okay? Guy in India. $76 billion? for people you never even heard of. You don't even know what companies these people are at, or what they did, or what they invested in, or what business they have. Like, just think about this. And the thing is, these numbers are so big I'm sharing with you. Like, just imagine how many people have $5 million to their name or $10 million to their name. That maybe that's a goal you're trying to go after, right? Like, just think about that for a moment, okay? Speaking about the masses, Rolex, the watch company, okay? Their watches start around $5,000 and move up from there. I don't have a Rolex. I do have a Franck Muller. It's about a $10,000 watch, but Rolex watches start at $5,000 and move up from there, okay? That company last year did over $5 billion of revenue. You know how many rich people are in this world for one watch company that a lot of rich people don't even buy from? Like, I wouldn't buy a Rolex. Like, I've looked at Rolexes, I don't like any of them. So that's why I bought a Franck Muller. But that one watch company does over $5 billion in 52-week span? You know how much abundance is in the system for a company to put up those sorts of numbers? That's ridiculous. I mean, absolutely disgustingly ridiculous, okay? One company in 52 weeks that sells $5,000. You know how many rich people there are in this world? Most of them don't buy Rolexes. Most rich people did not buy a Rolex last year. The high majority of rich people in the world did not buy a Rolex last year. And the company still did over $5 billion of revenue. My goodness, guys, there's so much abundance in the system, it's ridiculous, okay? Starbucks. Where do we start with Starbucks? Everybody knows Starbucks is the overpriced coffee company, right? You know, sell you 20-cent coffee for $3-4, whatever, right? Starbucks. That company's valued at $123 billion. Do you know how much abundance and money has to be in the system for that company to be valued at $123 billion? Like, sometimes you just got to take these things in and just really like digest it. An overpriced coffee company that people call it, you know, I'm not calling it that. Other people call it that. An overpriced coffee company. $123 billion? And people buy it. You can make coffee in your kitchen for, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cents. And people still go to Starbucks. You know, that's just crazy, man. And I'm not here to say it's right or it's wrong. The fact is, it's just massive abundance in the system. Because you don't get that company be worth $123 billion without crazy worldwide abundance of money. Way too much money. Now, I can tell you about all these numbers. I can show you all these numbers. We can continue to go through this back and forth, right? And but at the end of the day, you just have to get in the real world. You have to see these sorts of things for yourself. You really do. I challenge you, like, if you don't spend time around abundance, start spending time around abundance. Go to the wealthiest areas of town. Spend time there. Go to the wealthiest malls. You don't have to buy anything. Just walk around. Walk around those areas. See how people are living. It's one thing to, you know, see a Lamborghini on Instagram or, you know, a Range Rover on Google Images. It's another to, like, see those driving by and it's just like regular and there's some guy driving it that you don't even know who they are. And then there's some chick driving that, you know, $150,000 SUV and you don't know who they are. They're just nobodies, but they just got money like that. Like, it's so much more powerful to see it in real life. It's one thing to see, you know, an expensive watch on you know, the internet or go on Google Images and look at Rolexes or whatever, right? It's a whole other thing to actually walk next to a guy that's got a $25,000 watch on his wrist. And when you realize that's just one of 15 watches he has, it's a difference. It's a difference between seeing a Louis Vuitton bag and going to a mall that has a Louis Vuitton store and realizing there's a line to get into the store. I was just at a very expensive mall last week to buy my wife something. And I walked by the Louis Vuitton store. There was a line to get in. Those bags are like $1,000 plus for a purse, for a handbag. You know how much abundance is in the system for there to be a line so people can get in to buy $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 handbags? You know how much abundance has to be in the system for that? I walked by the Tiffany store. There was a line to get into the Tiffany store. So, a lot of times it takes to actually get in the real world and actually see this stuff right in front of your eyes. Remember I told you a story about if I walk into somebody's house, I remember walking in for the first time to $1 million house and just being like, jeez. A great thing that I did for myself was when I moved to Vegas, I started a real estate marketing company. And I started that company and I kind of went after actually the upper end realtors to start that business because I offered drone photos and specialized things that just other people weren't doing. I just saw there was a hole in the market and I went after that from that angle. And so I got a decent amount of high-end customers. And, some of those houses I got to see, even though back then I might have been worth, just 6 figures, let's say. Getting to see some of those houses when I had that business and I'm 26 years old or whatever, 27 years old. And, I got to be in a lot of $1 million houses. I got to be in some $3 million houses, $5 million houses. And get to meet the owners, just spend a minute with them. And just see, these are just regular folks. They put on their shoes one shoe at a time as well. They put on their socks one sock at a time as well. And I remember there was this house in St. George, Utah. Even though I lived in Vegas, I was desperate for business when I first started my business. So the first year I would do just about anything to get a job. So I would do jobs in LA. I'd do jobs in St. George if I didn't have enough work in Vegas. And I remember I went to St. George's one day, and I think her last name was McElprain, maybe first name Michelle. She worked for Sotheby's. She hired me to do a full video shoot of this house that was going up for sale in St. George, Utah. And the ground was like this red clay. It's so cool. It was so cool. It's like no ground I ever stepped on before. And these people just lived in this beautiful mansion. It was so cold out that day. I don't know if it was January. And I got there pretty early that day for the shoot because it was going to take me at least 3 hours. And I wanted to, I had another job after that for her as well at another house. But that one was a $1.5 million house. But this other one was over 3. And, I remember just seeing the husband and wife that lived there. And they were just by the fireplace. And I don't even know what he did for work. I don't think it was anything that special. And they were just living life, man, in this beautiful, epic house with all windows everywhere, just windows everywhere. Custom-built house, over $3 million. This epic pool and grotto situation in the backyard. Obviously, it wasn't pool season, though. And what a house. And just seeing that, man, so big. I got to see this other house. I mean, there was so many beautiful homes I got to see that just changed my mind around abundance. I remember I got to go to this house in Boulder City for Leo. And Leo, he'd work sometimes I would do more 500K to 700K type houses. But every once in a while he had this crazy house. He had this one crazy house in Boulder City that I did a drone video shoot for, okay? This house had a river around it. It's own private river, but you could swim in it. And it went around a lot of the perimeter. And this house had its own private tennis court and like outdoor basketball court situation. The house was ugly on the inside. I would never live in a house like that, I'll tell you that. It's just like some people's taste is really bad, but that's beside the point. But just getting to see that, man, and getting to be involved with that, it's crazy. You know, and I think back to some of those times, and some of those times are things that just open up your mind to the abundance. And sometimes getting to do some of these video shoots, you know, at some of these homes and just realizing, oh, this is just one of several homes this person has. I mean, my gosh, it really just opens up your mind. So that's why I say, like, you got to get in the real world for a lot of this stuff, man. You can't, you know, the numbers, and I can go through all this with you guys, but man, sometimes you just got to get in the real world. You got to see this stuff for yourselves and just really get opened up to a whole new world of possibilities. Because the fact is, in business and investing, the amount of money you can make is unlimited. There are no limits on this game. It comes down to a lot of different factors. You know, how bad do you want it? How much work you're willing to put in? Are you willing to have people around you that help you get to those places? And do you stay hungry? That's another thing. A lot of people, I don't want to get off subject, but a lot of people, once they get $1 million, $2 million, they get comfortable real fast. And a lot of times those people actually end up falling back down, I found. You can't really get comfortable. You got to really want it. And but anyways, that's a whole other subject. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you don't mind, smash a thumbs up if you're still with me. Like I said, this video wasn't for entertainment purposes. This is a psychology lesson. This is change mindsets. I don't even care if this video doesn't get views or whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, guys, have a great day. Thanks for being here. I hope this helped. Peace.